Coming to you from the My Little Falls studio, here in beautiful Little Falls, New York, it's your host, Scott Kinville, and another episode of Marty's Illegal Stick.
And what's up, hockey fans, and welcome to episode number 24 of Marty's Illegal Stick, being recorded on Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. Normally we record on Wednesday, but I got to work tomorrow, and it's a 24-hour shift, so recording for me tomorrow is kind of out of the question. So before we get going, I just kind of wanted to let everybody know something. We actually do have an email list. And if you wanted to get on that email list, I like to send out reminders when we have our new episodes out. And you can find that email sign up at martysillegalstick.com. I almost said www.martysillegalstick.com, but I know how much that irritates Dave.
Yeah,
so
don't do it.
So I had to stop myself. So
all right.
Okay. So anyways, before we get going here, I'm going to bring our panel in real quick. First off, as always, my father, Leo Kinville. How are you?
Scott, this is a great day today. I got to see both my kids the same day. That don't happen very often, so it's a good day.
And you're not stressed out. I'm amazed.
Give me time.
How long were you at the prison?
Wait,
I did 30 days. 30 days and $1,000.
wait for the trivia question. Then
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's when the blood starts spilling right there.
What episode is this?
Yeah. You know, since we played the number game last week, we're at number 24. Any particular player come to mind when you think of the number 24?
Ryan Callahan.
That just killed that up. No. 24.
Nothing.
No.
No other than Bob Probert.
Bob Probert. Yep.
That was one of my answers right there.
You haven't even introduced these guys. We got them answering questions. Come on.
I asked him first, so
yeah,
but don't worry about it. We're good.
That's right. Bobby Probert, Ryan Callahan.
There you go. And that voice you hear is the one and the only Mr. Jaromir Roberts, who was a little fired up before we got on the air. So I can't wait to get to segment 2 for this one. But anyways, how you doing, Jeremy?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So I heard Ryan Callahan, Bob Probert. Anybody else?
24.
I was thinking Jay Wells. Remember him?
No.
So Brown's at number 24.
What's that?
Tough as nails. Jay Wells. I love them.
See, somebody knows. There you go. Perfect.
LA King.
It's your perfect segue to introduce Dale.
Absolutely. But first, before we get to that, we, as always, our producer over here pulling his hair out of his head already, Dave the Save Warner. How are you, Dave?
Take the hat off, and I'll look like you in no time.
That's right.
Oh, God. Still hair going here.
You might want to spike that tea, pal, because it's good. Oh, man. And I'm going to bring our guest in, making a return appearance. As a matter of fact, this is the first time that we've had the same guest 2 weeks in a row. And we got to have him back because we had so much fun last week that we didn't get to talk about everything that we wanted to talk about. So welcome back to the show, Mr. Dale Purinton. Thanks for coming back, bud.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I just kind of want to give you a gauge of where I'm at. Do you guys remember the old SNL with Chris Farley on it?
Yeah.
He was like not fully the motivational speaker.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. And I'm close to living in a van down by the river, but the reality is I've been in my basement drinking coffee for the last 4 hours, so I am like beyond excited, guys.
Oh, geez.
You're not going to fall through the coffee table, are you?
Well, maybe at the end.
Oh, man, that is great. That is great. So, no, like I said, we appreciate you coming back on. Like I said, so much fun that we're going to have some more fun this week. So anyways, where we left off last. What'd you say, Jerry?
I said apparently it's already started.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and it's only going to get better, pal.
Yeah.
Oh, so I feel like, you know what? This kind of feels like those old Batman episodes. Remember that? The end part 1? What will the Cape Crusaders do now in the next episode?
Yeah.
So when we last left off, Dale, I wanted to ask you about your first NHL goal. We never did get to that. So I know it was October 19th of 2002, I believe, against Nashville, correct?
It was, but I'm going to fill you in a little bit about the first goal that I didn't get.
Okay.
And then we'll get to that one.
This could be a long segment.
Yeah, we were in Nassau playing the Islanders, and I was on the ice, and I don't know how I got on with Fleury. Somehow he was still out there. I think he was taking his famous 2-minute shifts. And maybe like the only time, well, maybe 2 or 3 times in my career, this was one of them, I ever jumped in over the red line and kind of, skated past the hash marks in the offensive zone. And it went from McCarthy to Fleury to me in the slot and a wide open net, and I shot it wide, and it was like,
you just got released.
Well, and I'm just still unpacking it. I've had hours of therapy, and that's why I'm just kind of still unpacking it with you guys, because their names would have been on the assist, and it would have been a dream of mine. I love both guys. I grew up in Calgary, and I got to watch those guys, but that was the one I didn't get. The next one is, I was telling you, is Brian Leach. He helped me so much as a player, and it was like, if you don't have a direct shot at the net, you put it back down the boards. You can't get your shot blocked. I was telling you in the segment before this. So this was like an unbelievable goal. I seen the puck coming around the boards, and I pulled it off the boards and snapped it on net. I didn't look at the net. My head was down, and I didn't actually see if anyone was in the shooting lane. And somehow it went in. So it wasn't a highlight goal by any means, but very lucky to hit the net. That's, things happen when you hit the net. And, for me, I'm so lucky that I remember every single goal I scored.
I mean, there was only, 5?
Well, we don't need a number. We don't need a number. I didn't go to college. Let's leave it at that.
I was your professor. Don't you remember?
That's why he doesn't want to discuss numbers, Jeremy.
There's got to be one in every crowd, right, Dave?
Yeah.
So you still have the puck?
Yeah, so I don't know. So what they do is on your first goal, like New York's really classy in that way, is they actually make you a big picture frame, and has the lineup in there, has your picture, the actual goal. And anyone scores or gets, kind of any milestones, which is obviously a milestone for me. The trainers grab the puck and put tape around it, and they mark your name and the date on there. So they actually put it inside a picture frame, a glass picture frame, and they don't tell you about it, and then they just present it to you. And it's such a nice thing that they, take care of their players that way. And I'm sure all the teams do it. And if they don't, hopefully they start. But New York is just such a classy organization. They took care of us that way. And so all those trophies that I have, or like I have one of Messier signed sticks in retirement. So all those I actually still have, and they're in my boys' rooms. And they get to enjoy that. So it's just something I cherish for sure.
That's really cool. That is really cool. You don't let them play road hockey with Messier signed stick, do you?
Well, it's hard to contain these guys. So you almost have to chain it up. Like, I've caught them a couple times, like passing in the hallway, right? And I'm like, so you can't guarantee anything with those boys.
That's great. That is great. So I know, like, one of the Ranger traditions for like post game, for like if a player's done something special or like player of the game, is they pass around a fedora, correct?
Broadway hat.
Were they doing that back then too, or?
No, we did not do that.
Okay. Yeah, like I just thought that was kind of cool, and I was just wondering how you would look with a fedora on. That's all.
That's just wrong.
Yeah, that is wrong. Hey, they say it all the time. The new NHL.
Yeah, right.
No. Yeah.
Oh, but seriously though, the 2003 season I was looking back, and it was your best statistical season, and then of course the following season was the lockout. So take us through that a little bit. I mean, how did you first of all get the news about the lockout? I mean, is it was it they call everybody in for
that 2003 season? Was I was having a pretty good season, and I was getting a lot of ice time, and then I broke my foot in Toronto, I switched with the forward and I came out to the point and I took a snapshot off the top of my foot and I broke my foot.
Hey.
And I think it was we picked up Boris Mironov, I believe, off waivers. I think it was Boris. And Glenn wanted me to go down for conditioning in Hartford, and because of the numbers were off and we had too many guys, and I'm like, well, I just felt I did a good job for the team, and that it wouldn't be in my best interest to start being the guy that moves back and forth. And I've up until that point, did everything they ever asked me to, and so I refused getting sent down. Well, I think they sat me out for the next 14 games and skated me every day. It was like the worst. It was the worst experience you can imagine, but with respect, right? Like, I'm not mad about it. And that's part of it. Looking back, yeah, maybe should have went back, but I felt I was playing well and I was bringing something to the team, and because of, maybe they mismanaged a little bit, that I was the one who was going to, go down there. And the problem with getting sent to the minors is you're wasting fights, and it's not like I'm going down there to work on my game. I'm going down there and every young guy or every guy in there is coming at you every night.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not that I wouldn't do it. It's just like you want to save those for the big guys, right? And so
you're a target. It's a target. You got the target.
You're totally target, and it's tough, right? And and you have to know the politics of it. Like, even that year when they signed Kasparaitis, I was playing behind Kasparaitis, and they gave him so much money, but they had to play their money guys, or it looks bad. Well, Kasparaitis, great guy and teammate, and I don't ever want to talk bad about anyone. But not him as a character, but his game at that time wasn't worth that at that time. He wasn't playing as well as they had hoped. But yet, because you're not making that money, you're sitting in the stands, or you're maybe bouncing back and forth, and we can't be fair or not fair. It's not up to us. So, but when you're actually living that and seeing that, it's sometimes tough to take. And then he got sent to Hartford. When I went down there, he didn't play much down there, and it's not that he wasn't capable. It's just he, wasn't, his game wasn't where it was right there. Yeah. It's a mindset. Exactly. Yep. It's tough. It's a tough thing to be consistent. That's what we're after, is consistency, but we can't quit working at the game. And when you get down there, it's a bit of a harder game. It's scrambly, and guys are coming at you a little harder, and it's a little bit of a rougher game. So, to adjust for certain guys, it's a big adjustment. It's a lot easier moving up. It's faster up, but it's way more structured, and it's actually an easier game to play.
Really? Yeah. That is interesting, because if you think about it, that would be true.
I've heard that. I've heard that from, talking to other pros, even, besides Dale, with the Sestito brothers or Kevin Todd or even Rob Esch, and they all said the same thing. It's like, you go down into the AHL and they call it the jungle. And it's a jungle for a reason, because they're fighting for a spot to go up. And if you're the guy that's coming down, that's the guy that they're going to go after, because, how are you going to make your name? You just got in a fight with an NHL guy. That's what I'm going after. This is how hard I want to fight to prove myself. But the NHL guy's just going, guys, I'm just down here to rehab. Like, leave me alone. Let me do my thing. And all the young guys are coming after you. So, I've heard that from a lot of guys that said that.
Yeah. So I guess that would be a great point. So Dale, you had mentioned Glenn. Are you referring to Glenn Sather?
Yeah. Yes.
How was he he was the coach at that time, correct? Or was he just GM?
Like my first was Ron Lowe.
Okay.
And then Brian Trottier, and then Tom Rennie took over as interim, and then Glenn came in. And then Tom took back over. But he treated me really well, and I still have a good relationship. I went 2 years ago to watch them play the Canucks, and I got to spend a little time with Glenn and Jim Schoenfeld, and got to see, most of the staffers is the same. And they got to meet all three of my boys. And they actually, when they got home, sent me a big swag bag for all the boys, and just, really classy and great pictures with them. And they've always treated me really well. It's one of those things where, you look back and you have to own your own behavior on that ice, right? And some of the things I did was because of me, and I had to do work on myself. And I'm not the same guy as I was then. And I wish that, you could go back, right? Like everyone wishes that, because I'm a completely different person. I would have prepared different. I would have taken the game, completely different, and been just a way better leader. I would have been sober the whole time, and you just approach life different. But those are the things we have to go through to get to these points and where you're at now. And so they treated me like $1 million, and I can't say enough about them.
Very good. Very good. So, I mean, obviously it's any hockey player's dream to play in the NHL, but was there anything in particular that you didn't quite like about it?
Oh, I don't know. I think for me now is it's something obviously, it's in my family and you always wanted to do. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was, I don't know if it was honestly like ever my real passion, as much as like maybe like a stepping stone to like help people. It's just like now it's like awareness for people and awareness for like people with trauma and, like look at the streets and the divide of rich and poor and people that are struggling. And I think it gave me an avenue to be able to reach more people. And what I loved is the guys and the political stuff is never that great. And just even the internal dogfights of contracts and, people always trying to, you're on eggshells and getting jobs and there's some ugly stuff to it. But there's also amazing stuff, and some of the people I met in that game, lifelong friends, and just genuine, authentic people that you just can't say enough about. And look at this, like without all of us, one is we wouldn't have the NHL, we wouldn't have hockey, and look at the relationships we get to create because of the game. And we live in different countries on different sides of the coast, and now we've created these relationships through this game that we all love. And the reality is we're all connected. And I was fortunate enough to have a dad that played hockey and said, listen, like you wouldn't be playing it. You wouldn't be getting paid for this game if it wasn't for all these people that, are part of this with you. And he was so good for me that way. And like, I just cherish people who love the game and care about, the integrity of the game and guys historians and guys it's an amazing thing to be part of. And when I first started in New York, Mark, Mess was so good. And he said to me, and this always stuck with me. He's like, remember the guys, get to know the guys in the back room, get to know the guys on other teams that unpack your bags and get to know the bus drivers and the stewardess and know their names. And he was such a brilliant guy at that it just gets passed on. And so, when we're on the road, our trainers say we get into a city at, 2:33 in the morning, they go to those rinks and sleep on the floors or blow up mattresses, and they make sure our stuff's dry and they make sure it's all hung up nice. And so on every road trip, no matter what, me and Richie Pilon would go to Starbucks and we knew every guy's coffee and we even would get coffee sometimes for the trainers of the other team if we knew they picked us up that night. And so it just gets passed on. Joe Devaney, which was a trainer for the Rangers, I think he got in something like 39 years. He came to my wedding, and so I got really close to those guys, and we played ping pong. Like I'd stay and play ping pong. I was sometimes closer to those guys than some of our teammates because there's a lot of movement. So. Yeah. And then I think I've never really told this story, but we kind of kept it quiet. But we were pretty serious about ping pong. I actually have a custom paddle that I carry around. I play in my car by myself. Just weird stuff, right? But anyway, I just picked the wrong sport. So anyway, I was coming back from an injury, that foot injury, and we were playing ping pong, and I stepped on it wrong, and I think I gave it like a little bit of a tweak, and I was out for probably 2 or 3 more weeks than I should have been, plus getting bag skated from. I had a ping pong injury, but I couldn't talk about it at the time. Can you imagine? How come you're not hearing? Oh, I'm playing ping pong with the trainer.
I slipped on the steps, guys.
So I won that game, so it's all worth it.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall if you did tell me it was a ping pong injury.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hey, those I'll tell you what, that staff is they're old school and they're a little bit hot blooded. So if they don't make eye contact with me, I knew I had a good day. I'm here for another day, guys.
And it's a great point that you bring up though about all the behind the scenes stuff, because people don't realize just how much goes into it.
Oh,
all the work that's got to go on behind the scenes. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a big production, and a lot of it's thankless, and like for the most part, like with our group of guys, pretty good guys. Not a few high maintenance guys, but it wasn't too bad. But you hear some horror stories and just guys that the perception of who they are is actually not what goes on behind closed doors, and just like I always like guys with good attitudes and super positive and give up the selfishness for the greater good of a team, and that's what you need, right? And unfortunately that doesn't always happen, and sometimes big egos get in the way, and
right.
I got to run some of those guys, right? So I didn't see you, right? I didn't see you. And then I was always friends with like Mark and Leachy and Gravy and Rick, like the core group. So sometimes I could get away with a little bit of that in practice. I'd be like, hey, give me the nod, right? But you have to ask. Right? You're not doing stuff on your own there, because it doesn't take much to get you in the stands, right? So,
right.
But those guys are. They give up family life, and they give up, have a lot of them, don't really have kids, or if they do, they don't see them much. And so they give up a lot of stuff to make us comfortable. And so we need to honor them and not be selfish and, entitled and all those, really bad character defects. It's like, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to do these things. And, we're not saving lives, and we're not working for NASA, and, we're playing a game we love, and we need to be grateful for that, and those people make it happen for us.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. That's more people need to hear that. That's really so true.
Yeah,
so,
a lot of people just look at it like it's just a game, and they get on the ice and that's it.
Right.
Yeah. They see, like most people see the end result. They see the games, and then they see the contracts. They don't see the struggle, and they don't see, the injuries and I left home at 15 years old and never went home. Right. And that's, talk about a recipe for disaster. Right. And, hence therapy and treatment and on and on and on. But the reality is that's not really a recipe, especially, like you have to have a pretty solid foundation and a pretty solid family to teach you how to, finance money or manage money and how to make proper decisions and to treat people and all these things that, should be kind of being passed through parents into coaches as you grow. And that's why the college systems, it's good and bad to the fact you're a little bit older when you go, but there's less watching you when you're in college. But junior, you leave junior at 20 and you turn pro. So you leave for junior at, 16 years old, and you're kind of on your own, right? Till you're 20. And so, and when you play, I can watch most hockey games, especially back in the day, and I can watch and I can kind of know who the animals on and off the ice are. There's a few guys that slip by you. Like there's a few stars that you think are normal that are a little bit haywire, but or really haywire. But in general, you watch the guys on the ice that are like, just hard as they can play and rugged and just chippy and in your face. Well, most of the time they're a little bit more rugged off the ice too. So, but we're not taught, we don't have those tools, a lot of guys, and we don't know how to flip that switch when you're off that. it's kind of your lifestyle, right? And that's the stuff that we need to talk about and discuss and say, hey, listen, I was there. I get it. Like it took me a lot of hard lessons to get to where I'm at today.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I take it that the NHL doesn't have anything for rookies insofar as like almost, I want to say like a class on like how to handle their money and how to basically prepare for life in the NHL, correct?
Yeah, well, they have like an addictions liaison. A couple teams have it now. Like Brant Myers started it and he's running out of LA, and then Brian McGrattan's running it out of Calgary through Brant, and I think there's a couple teams with that. But as far as like a lifestyle coach or life skills, I don't believe they have that yet. I know for sure like the soccer organizations have that. But you know, it's changing a little bit because the reality is most players in the NHL today have money. That's the reality. Is like it's a lot of rich kids playing, and so they have that down. But it's just like, but what about where are we emotionally? Like, you know, how do we learn how to deal with trauma or be in relationships or self-awareness, or, you know, those are the things that I think is something needs to be taught when people are young, and you know how to go through problems because they're going to come up. And I don't think they have that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's a great point though. That's really a great point. So you finished the 2003-04 season in Hartford, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then
no, in New York.
In New York,
because a lockout. Yeah, in New York, lockout was 04-05.
Right. So you played in Hartford during the lockout, though, correct?
No.
Okay.
No, I played. I only played. They tried to get me to go there. I was at my cabin, and so I ended up going to the East Coast League and for the Salmon Kings for 17 games, and then I moved to Vancouver Island, and so I only played 17 games that year. And then I came back from the lockout, and that's like, and you know what? It's my fault again. It's just like I didn't train that hard. I wasn't in great shape, and shame on me, right? And that's when I gouged Colton Orr in exhibition, and that was pretty much that year. That year I got sent down, and I think I only played maybe 24 games that year, but I think I was 6 games into the season, and I tore my ACL.
Hey.
A guy tried to hit me low, yeah, and so and then I came back, and I think I maybe played a game or two, and then I broke my pinky finger in a spiral break, and it came out of the skin. Ouch. And I was out. So I only played 24 games that year.
Man.
And then the following season, I was having a great year, and actually New York was going to call me back up, and it was that some of those weird rules where they had too many call-ups because they told me, hey, you're probably going up. They called about you because I was having a good season, and there's too many call-ups, and I couldn't go.
Oh,
so they're allowed.
Yeah,
they're only allowed so many
call-ups. Yeah, there's by Christmas or something, or just after Christmas, they could only have so many.
Wow.
So I never got a shot to kind of finish off there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I was warned lots of times. Like I can't blame anyone but myself. You have to own that, and you know it's tough because I loved it so much, but I just wasn't emotionally there. Like I was just I was self-medicating. I was just not, maybe it could be some head injuries, and it was just like I wasn't taking it serious enough. And now that's the thing is like we pass. That's the toughest thing with my own kids is understanding like whatever you do, how hard you have to work at stuff to accomplish it.
Right. Right.
And and I talk. It's like these things aren't your self-worth. It's just like I'm always like, hey, live a joyful life and do what you love. And as we know, time's so valuable and a commodity. And so I teach them the stuff that I've learned about life and how valuable human connection is and how important like that you just your dad said he got to see both of his boys, you and your brother today, and how important he and I don't speak for him, but how important it is just to spend that little time with each other, right? And that's the most important thing to me now. It's not I'm done chasing stuff. I always thought having stuff or playing the NHL or having houses was going to make me successful and be happy. And the reality is I wasn't at all, right? So it took some, a lot of work. And now, like, I'm the happiest I've been since I've been a kid.
That's great. That really is great. That lockout year, that had to be tough because obviously you weren't drawing a salary from obviously the NHL, because if they locked you out, they're not paying you, correct? I mean, that's kind of goes without saying. So that had to be really tough for a lot of guys.
Well, it was for guys. Like for myself, it wasn't. Like I actually made more money that year than I did even playing in hockey because I was a ski mask model. So
what?
I was a ski mask model. So the money was just rolling in. They said you have beautiful eyes. Yeah. But yeah, it was, we had a, you should try that, Jer. You should try.
I should be that. I should do that.
Maybe you can.
Well,
he doesn't.
Vermont
He doesn't have the eyes for it.
I don't know.
Well, look how mad and red and sweaty he is now. You can't get a ski mask on him.
Well, I mean, send me your agent, and I'll give it a whirl.
Tom Laidlaw.
Listen, just no underwear modeling, guys. All right, that's all.
Yeah, Fidel says soon over here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they had a players fund for guys, and I think they would get checks. But as you know, like the reality is, I think most guys and most people in general live beyond their means, and so there's a lot of guys that even with some of those big salaries we talked at the NHL meetings, or they can't. They're check to check almost, right? And and it's hard to believe it, but that's reality, right? When you're, driving certain cars and houses, and it's, and that's why we need this, coaches. We need life coaches, but, yeah, and I think, and a lot of guys went to Europe, and I didn't have that option for some reason. It was the weirdest thing that the phone wasn't ringing, but I think I got a call from like a roller hockey league.
I don't think that wouldn't have fit you too well.
Yeah,
I don't see that working.
I got a call from roller derby.
Roller derby. Call you Diesel, right?
Yeah, I had to wear a wig. That was it. But
yeah,
I was going to say, don't call it the girls' division.
Yeah, one more week off, I was in.
Now Diesel, that was your nickname, correct?
One of them. Yeah, I got a few.
Yeah, I know you got. I know you got a few.
You earned those. You earned those, by the way.
I know you got a few.
Just keep in mind, this is a PG-13 show.
Yeah. That's why I kept it to the one. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you why that is, because they called me the little engine that couldn't. Thanks for the setup, Jared.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, what are friends for, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are unbelievable. So much fun.
So 2007, you signed with the Colorado Avalanche, and you played Lake Erie that season in the AHL, correct?
I did. Yeah. So we are. So I had Paul and Doug Messier were my agents at the time, and so we got a call. Actually, I got a phone call from Sylvain Lefebvre, which was one of my partners in New York, and he ended up being the assistant coach there. Dave Sacco was the head coach, and Dave Oliver, that was in Dallas, was the GM. And so he called me and said, "Hey, your contract's up. Would you be interested in playing here?" And so I said, "Well, I want to talk to New York first and Hartford because it'd be nice to stay in the organization." And so we called them, and they wanted to sign me, but they just kind of hummed and hawed, and Colorado offered me a nice deal, and I packed up and left, and that was a hard thing to do, because that I was so comfortable there, and I knew everyone in the organization. I was there. I was actually there. Here's some good trivia for you. I was the longest New York Ranger. When I think they traded Leach away in the organization, because I was drafted, I think, in 95, and I think I was 17. I was 17 at the time, and that's the year I finally left. So I was there for the longest. I was the longest standing Ranger. So it was tough.
Okay.
Like, people don't understand, what keeps you in certain places. But I loved it. I loved the organization. It was really tough to go. I think the turning point was, it's a new team. I was really good friends with Sly, and I knew he was going to treat me really well there. And I went there and had a really good camp. I fought Ivanis, had a good camp, and I was playing well there. And then I got a huge suspension right off the bat, and I still, like, we had a really, I think we had 8 veterans on that team. Like, Jeff Friesen came and played for us. Jamie Lundmark was there. Jeff Gilson was there. Who else? Anyway, I think we had 8. What's that?
Yeah, you had some NHLers there with you.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, we just Chris Stewart was a rookie that year. We had some really talented guys. It's just we were playing. I don't know. I didn't like the system they were playing. We were playing that Quinville system where he had like a rotating D zone, but it takes certain teams to play that system, and I don't like it at all. Like, it's just because it's leaving too many gaps, and they'd never let us pass up the middle. And by the time, like, we just, like, as soon as teams knew we couldn't pass up the middle, they just clogged the sides and we couldn't break it out. And we had all this talent, and it's like, right. I'm not like, systems are great, but I'm not a fan of, if a system and they're blocking that lane, then you got to move it up the middle if it's open. And if they readjust, we have to adjust. We can't just be so structured and set in our ways that. And we got behind that year, and we just couldn't climb out of it. And we had a really strong team, but just with good goalie and maybe some weak D for sure, because I was on there. But we had awesome forwards, and we just never really got it going. That was a bit of that was my last year, and a disappointing season with the talent we had.
Yeah. So was that part of your prompted your decision to retire, or? Well,
what's hard is, like, I had 2 kids at the time, and like another guy I played with in Hartford, Brent Thompson, in the New York organization. He was in Peoria, and he called me, wanted me to sign me. But now what's happening is now you're signing 1-year deals, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like you're the one responsible for your moves, and now you have 2 kids, and you got to. And it's just like I moved from in 1 year or a couple of years. I moved from New York to Hartford to Cleveland, and then Cleveland to Peoria, all within like 2 years. It just
didn't work.
No, you know what happened is, like, kids. And you start having kids, and you lose your fire. And when you lose your fire in that position, you're gonna get yourself hurt or in trouble. Right. And so the day you don't, like, go and train as hard as you can is the day, like, it's kind of over, right? And so I don't know. I think just from maybe being disappointed that you got sent back and never got up, and attitude, right? And yep. Now I look at it as like it was me. It was I could have changed all of that, and I could have got back up, and or I could have been the best player I could have been and been an awesome leader in the HL, and I just wasn't. I just wasn't really involved, and I kind of lost interest. But that's all on me, right? And so my perspective of things and changing the angle and how you look at stuff, and someone's paying me to do a job, and I did it half-ass, and that's the thing that now you talk about and you teach that's not okay. It's better just to get out. Don't let someone take care of you or pay you, and you're not doing the job that he's asking you to do. And so I got to reflect on that and look back at that, make me a better person too. And I didn't like who I was at that point, and so I made changes.
Yeah, because
it took a little jail time, but I made changes, Jeff.
I was gonna.
Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna get to that. I was just.
So we're gonna.
The words are out of my mouth because thank you for the segue. You just made that very much easier for me.
So then you met Jeremy.
Yeah, well, that's
Professor Jeremy.
This is how healthy I became. I got him out of there too.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I saved him, and then he saved me.
The straw brought the camel's back, right? Because outside of the rink, you did have some struggles. Jerry, a little bit of depression going on. Did you have any problems with the CTE yourself, or was it you just knew a lot of people that were struggling with it, or?
Yeah, well, yeah, like, and I think some of it's circumstantial. Like I was in a marriage that, was not healthy and super dysfunctional. And, it's like you kind of get, and then, so what happened was 2015. So we're almost going on it would be actually May 2015. I was removed from my house, and I was out of my house for 3 months. I came. My ex was like, "Hey, I'm going to see my father in New York, and he's not doing well." So I said, "Oh, maybe I'll come." And at this point, I was okay. I'll take you back a little bit. So it would have been a year before that. So it would have been 7 years now. February 23rd. So I kind of went 2 months. There's 10 kids. I'm the youngest kid. I kind of went to my mom got really sick, and she had rheumatoid and osteoarthritis. So I think it was like, and it's, this is something that was really hard to overcome, but, and this was kind of like where it took off for me is, when I left the NHL, you go through different emotional stuff, but I was still okay. And I would do, sometimes I'd go like 6 months without drinking, and then, you go on a couple binges, and, while we're just partying kind of thing. And so my son's birthday is on February 22nd. So my mom can only talk on the phone now for about 3 to 5 minutes because she just gets too tired and she's that sick. So that night I was going to call her, or that day I was going to call her collect. So, or not collect. I was going to call her so she could talk to my son for his birthday, because she loves it, right? She was amazing, but was very, very sick. So I didn't do it. I waited, and the February 23rd, she passed away. So I kind of went 2 months, and I was the baby of the family. So I didn't really notice it at first, but I started drinking more and more, right? And I didn't have a good relationship at home, and it just kind of continued. And then this guy I know was like, "Oh, have you ever tried Percocet?" So and I knew all about them, but I never really took them. So I tried it, and honestly, it was the first time since I retired from hockey, or even before hockey, that I felt like good about myself, and like I was like happy, like joy, like I was honestly happy, and so that kind of took off. But that wasn't as much as the drinking. The drinking was really, because drinking's everywhere, right? So, but I was mixing those two things, and so removed from the house because, I wouldn't do what I was told, and I wouldn't listen. And so, but fair enough. Like, you can't expect someone to, even though she would drink as well, but on her terms, right? I could drink if she drank, and if I listened, of course. So, anyway, we 3 months go by. She's like, "You want to say bye to the kids? We're going to New York for a month." So I go to, I say, "Well, why don't I come with you?" Because, I had a good relationship with her dad. And so anyway, I go to New York, and we're there about a week. And I'm like, "Hey, I gotta sober up. I'm going to quit drinking." So I pretty much stayed sober the whole time. Well, that night we went out, and there's about 20 people, because one of the kids, there's like 20 adults, like 20 kids, 21-year-old, and they're going to college. And so we're all drinking together. Well, one of the guys that was there, so my wife gave me a phone. Her sister's in town, so we're taking selfies. We're in what's that lake up there, Jerry? Like Oneida Lake. You're at Oneida Lake. And I have her phone, and I'm walking to the bathroom while her phone starts going off. Well, one of the guys we were drinking with text, "Oh, I thought you left your husband, and why, I always love you." And so I start going through the text. Well, they've been kind of corresponding since I've been there. Nothing too bad, but still unacceptable that as a husband, you don't know about it. You're not transparent, right? So long story short, I gave my power away. So I reacted, obviously fought the guy. He didn't do well. I get charged with felony B. So and then in the media, it sounded like I was breaking through windows, stealing change when someone caught me in their house and I beat them up.
Yeah.
Well, I smashed him through the front door. Well, when the story came out, he said I kicked the door down and beat him up inside. So that's a felony B. So now I'm facing 5 to 25 years. So we fly back and anyway, there's way more to the story, so I'll keep it short. But we fly back. I go to treatment. I'm in treatment 11 weeks. We come out, and then I go to college with Jared. And so that transition, those were the crossroads. So that transition for me is what kind of like. So when we look at things in life that there's these terrible things or all these good and bad, instead of being, these are just different challenges. And if we can look at it, like I said, from a different perspective, maybe that's one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because that got me, really looking at life and say, hey, listen, like, I got to do work on myself. I got to be sober. I can't give my power up and make someone be able to take that freedom away. Like I said, time, right? And so these are the moments. And then by doing so, then, I have a story, like we have an awesome relationship, and I can relate with people. I have a story that I can say, hey, listen, I was there. I actually did that. And I went to time. I did time. And, I did the work to get sober. And even today, I do work every day to, better myself and to be able to be vulnerable or even talk and share your story. It's hard for people, right? People live in mass. And I did that for years, lived in mass and lived a lie. And I was never authentic. And I was like this man with an emotional baby inside, I left home at 15. So that's kind of where you were stuck, right? And it's like not what's wrong with you, what's happened to you, right?
Right.
And so these are the amazing things that is your adventure. And if you get those lessons, then we can become the heel. And then we have these opportunities. That was an opportunity to become a way better person.
Well, that's.
And like I said, I'll tell you, when I met him, I knew who he was. I mean, all of us knew who he was. We were given certain rules of, not giving special treatment to Dale. Obviously, being from New York, and a few hockey guys in the college that he was in, we all knew who he was. He get. I know he got special treatment. I was part of that team that gave him special treatment. Not that we favored him in any way, but it was like, listen, like you're not like a normal guy. You're somebody that screwed up, and you understand what you did wrong, and you can better yourself. And I got a great relationship out of him, and we've talked. We talked immensely all the time. And I'm happy that we've done that, and I'm happy that we've continued to do that.
Well, I just
say, I got to. And just, like what's funny about going into a place like that, though, is when you look at that, it's a sad thing. Like most people are like, the behavior's like 15 years old. Most people are poor. They've never really had a chance. And, I was in there with guys who never got a phone call, who never got a letter, who have no money, have no food, and they're felons. And then how do they go back and with no really constructive behavior, they're put back? Well, of course they're going to return. It's a sad thing. And so I would sit with people and listen to their story and talk. And it was actually, there's amazing things in there. And there's beautiful people. And for the most part, they're just damaged people, like lots of trauma, right? They're not bad. Some are bad, of course, but what's their story?
Right.
Well, I tell you, Dale, I mean, I appreciate you sharing that too, because that takes a lot of guts in itself to talk about. And we just really appreciate, obviously you'd hit rock bottom, but you've done a fantastic job of rising above, and God bless you, brother. That's fantastic. That really is.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And it's an avenue to help other people and understand, hey, listen, if we can convince people they're not alone, job well done. It's all worth it. It's all worth it to me. It's just another experience that we can say, hey, listen, like we can always overcome things. We can always change. We can always be better. And so by my story, there's so many people out there that are struggling. I don't know if we talked in the last show, but there's 3 NHL guys on the streets that I know of personally, right now.
Yeah.
And so they're amazing men. I know every one of them, and they're on the streets, like and why? Like,
Right.
It's damage.
Right.
Have you ever heard of an organization called Dignity After Hockey?
No.
All right, I'll get the information to Jerry for you. It was actually started by a former Toronto Maple Leaf, Paul Walker, and he's since passed away. But his daughter Zoe is actually carrying on with it, and it's to help players after hockey that have fallen on hard times or are struggling and need a helping hand or even just somebody to talk to.
Right.
So yeah, I'll get the information to Jerry for you after, or even if you want, we can exchange phone numbers or whatever. So.
That's awesome, and we gotta get someone out there. I wish we had an organization like that worked on offense, because I needed that when I played, so they could help me.
Well, I'll tell you what we're gonna do here is we're gonna end this segment for now, okay? But Dale, I understand you want to stay on for the rest of the show.
I will.
That is awesome. That is awesome, because I know we're coming up in the next segment. There's something that Jerry wants to talk about. So, but first, before we close this segment out and go to commercial break, as always, we're going to do our breakaway trivia. And the breakaway trivia question is this week: who was the first winner of the Conn Smythe Trophy as NHL playoff MVP? The answer when we come back.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of Little Falls, New York. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, and our events calendar. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling stories about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of local residents and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes store or sign up for our weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
And we're back for segment 2 of Marty's Illegal Stick Hockey Hot Takes. But as always, we're going to kick off segment 2 with the answer to our trivia question. And that question one more time was, who is the first winner of the Conn Smythe Trophy as NHL playoff MVP? Dad, do you have a guess?
I got a guess, and they're going to have to laugh at me. And you got to understand, I'm old. I'm old for 23. I'm going to be old for 24 here in a minute. But I'm going to be a record holder.
You already are.
In Marty's Illegal Stick. So remember that. Dave, help me out on this. Okay.
No.
No, I met Dale. But anyway, I'm going to say, laugh all you want. I'm going to say Gordie Howe.
Okay. Dave, do you have a guess?
No.
Okay. Jeremy.
But you can't go wrong with Gordie Howe.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, you can if he's not right.
As much as I don't want to say this, Sid the Kid, Crosby. I don't know.
Okay, Dale?
I decline.
You decline?
Hey, I'm going to do that.
You already answered. But I'll tell you what, you were the closest. It was Jean Beliveau.
Oh, really?
1965 is when they introduced the Conn Smythe Trophy as a
Now,
playoff
see,
MVP.
you lied. You said number 24. John Bellevue was number 6.
Yeah, well, it's the first player that comes to your mind when you hear the number 24.
Oh, yeah.
How long were you at the Legion before you came down here? Anyway?
I'm gonna have to. Oh boy, never mind.
Okay.
It's a PG-13.
As always, breakaway trivia, entertaining. All right, our first hot take for the day. Happy 53rd birthday to former Utica Devil Kevin Todd. Todd played 4 seasons for the Utica Devils and then played 9 seasons for 5 different teams in the NHL. Good dude. You know, he's was a big part of the Utica Devil organization, and that's, of course, near and dear to our hearts around here. So happy birthday, Kevin. And now, Jer, It's time for your moment to shine. Let me read my spiel here.
I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
So it'll give you time. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Okay. So Monday night's game between the Washington Capitals and the New York Rangers was event-filled, to say the least. Evgeny Kuznetsov and his Ilya Samsonov were scratched for disciplinary reasons, and then Alexander Ovechkin left the game after his first shift with a lower body injury after missing the previous 4 games. During the game, Artemi Panarin left the game with what is believed to be a knee injury, and initial reports have him being out for the season. Tom Wilson was the center of attention, racking up a goal, an assist, 3 roughing penalties, and a misconduct after sparking a brawl in the second period when he punched Pavel Buchnevich while he was down on the ice. Thoughts, please.
Wait, you want me to go first?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I know you want to.
I mean, I don't like what he did to Buchnevich. Having everybody else jump in and Panarin jumping in, I get. But for what he did to Buchnevich, it's just a dirty play. I mean, you can't. I understand the heat of the battle. You're going at it. You play hard. And like Dale said, like we were talking before the show, if he's on your team, you love him. If he's off your team, you hate him. It's not that I love him or hate him, even if he was on my team or not. It's just, you call a dirty player a dirty player. I mean, he's a dirty player. And I know Capitals fans that will call him a dirty player. For what he what he was given was just the maximum fine with no suspension. I think it's going to take it's just setting the precedent of what could happen. I don't want to see anybody ever get hurt, but it sets the precedent of somebody getting hurt for something stupid.
Well, Dale, did you see the play by chance or?
No, I just seen Jerry sweating.
Okay. And the graphics going across the screen, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually more interested in the 2 players that got suspended for disciplinary action. I want to know that story.
You know what happened? No, they missed a team meeting. So coach scratched them for the game.
I still want to know the backstory. And then the other thing is just a quick question for Jer before we get back to this.
Oh,
is that picture on your wall, is that for your girlfriend?
Oh yeah, that's for my girl. That's not, but it's also for you. It's a message.
It's for your girlfriend. It says, enjoy the little things.
Yes.
As soon as she walks in, she reads that. But at least you let her know. Anyway,
look at the
what
color on Jeremy's face.
I think the Rangers should sign Tom when he becomes a free agent.
I mean, I wouldn't agree with you. I think if they did that, at least we'd have a little bit more physicality.
Oh, I'm not. I agree with what you're saying as well. It's just like we don't want anyone hurt. I think you need to play hard but it's maybe playoffs, but even then the NHL, they're trying to crack down on those kind of things, and so if he's not disciplined, it's going to continue because it just keeps escalating, right? And then now they're going to go after him, or they're going to cheap shot. They're going to cheap shot some of the Washington players, and
exactly.
And
it's just a setup, and that's just
yeah.
Basically what happened is Booch got pinned to the ground. I mean, they went hard to the net, which I get. The goalie wasn't interfered with, so there's no reason to really take out the frustration for hitting your goalie. It's just Booch went down, his face was on the ice, and Wilson just started rabbit punching him in the jaw as his head's on the ice.
I didn't like that. It was just unnecessary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the part that my opinion is probably not the most popular one on this part, but people are going crazy about what happened to Panarin. And honestly, you know what? Panarin jumped on his back.
Right. Which
he ragged out. His helmet was off. Okay, his helmet came off in the whole scrum and all that.
Right.
And they're screaming that Wilson should have been in control. But
not at that point. He's a third.
Panarin jumped in on him. I mean, he didn't single Panarin out. As much as I like the bread man, great player to watch play. It's very fun. But the thing is, if you're gonna jump on the Grizzly Bear's back,
yeah, you're gonna poke the bear.
You better be ready.
Yeah.
I think New York should, next time they play, New York should sign Ric Flair for 1 game.
Well, they'll get their chance for all night.
All night. Nice.
Oh yeah.
Well, see, I could say I could watch, but remember, I'm in Canada. Everything's a year behind. We got last season being played here.
So just wait. Hey, we get the first round pick this year. You'll see that coming in.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so see, Jeremy, you made it through. I'm proud of you. You're good.
Yeah, because
okay.
I already got my frustration out earlier. That's why.
That's right.
Did you see that? Did you see what he just did? He just took his high blood pressure medicine.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I thought he took the picture down.
I want to. That was good, Dale. I like that.
God,
that was
God, it's coming in from his dad. Man,
yeah,
it's coming from all angles now.
Yeah, definitely lost the wheels on this one.
So just to follow up on what we were talking about last week with the AHL playoff speculation, as it turns out, only the Pacific Division is going to do a playoff, and the rest of the divisions are not. It's very strange, to say the least. The AHL did also announce that they're going to try to do a full regular season starting in October, so that's great news. But players aren't very happy about this one division playoff thing, and I can't say as I blame them. That's really weird.
How do they do that? Like, I don't get, how can they split? I get it, it's a COVID year, but still, you're still playing in the East Coast, you're still playing on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Why can't you just keep playing? I don't understand what their philosophy behind that is.
Yeah, I don't get that either. It's
and on a year where they're not making any money, because I mean they just started allowing fans in.
Right.
You figure they would want to allow a playoff system or some series to go through so they make more revenue for next season. Like they're just going to shut it down. It's like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, if you're going to do one,
that'd be hard as a player. Yeah, hard as a player working that hard all year, and then you're told you can't have a chance to win.
Right.
You know, and you got to remember, some of those guys, that's probably their last chance to take a crack at it. And then for some of those older guys, and the league's younger now than when we played, but that's their last. That's kind of that's their Stanley Cup. That some guys will never get a shot at. This could be their last season, and they don't get a chance to win, right? Like, that's a tough one to. And if you put yourself into that situation, and how do you accept that, right? It's tough one.
It's a tough call. I couldn't imagine. Like, I think Utica's in, I don't know what place they're in right now, but they're contending. They'd be contending for a playoff run, a playoff push. And now is Vancouver going to save any of their guys and call some of their guys back? Like, I don't know what they're going to do.
I don't know. That's going to be.
I saw
they got to be able to get over the border too. So
I saw Mikey DiPietro come back. Like he came back to Utica. So I mean, and he's like one of the best goalies. Well, was rated the best goalie in the United States. So it's like, would he go back up to Vancouver and be on their taxi squad again?
I don't know.
Well, it's weird, right? It's like, it'd be like a college kid signing with Boston College, and then he's told he's playing for Michigan next year.
Right.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's an upgrade. That's an upgrade. That's definitely an upgrade.
Oh man. So one last hot take for everybody. I'm going to make this real quick. Just news from the Czech Republic. 49-year-old Jaromir Jagr said he does not plan to retire after recently finishing his 33rd season in professional hockey. Jagr plays for, and I'm going to hammer this name, Yatiri Kolando or something like that, a team that he also happens to own, and they play in the second tier of the Czech Professional League, and they're moving up to the first tier next year. Good for Jaromir Jagr, but I'll tell you, who I feel bad for the most out of all that? The coach. Could you imagine trying to tell him that, well, we're going to sit you out this shift, or, well, no, I want to try this other guy on the power play. No, you're not.
No, I own you.
Yeah.
The coach for me second. His hairstylist is first. That's true.
yeah, he's right. Yeah.
Well, let's find it. But can you tell us what kind of hair gel he uses so we can get stock in that?
Tail and mane. He goes right to the mane and tail. He goes right to the horse
He doesn't screw around.
Yeah. He's got to prove himself though. Like, 33 years in, maybe, he'll beat someone with a couple more years in.
That's great. That is great. Well, that's all we got for Hockey Hot Takes. As always, we're going to close Hockey Hot Takes with our website of the week. Website of the week is brought to you by 315hockey.com. 315hockey.com is your news hub for all levels of hockey in Central New York. This week's website of the week is greatesthockeylegends.com. If you love hockey history, check this website out. It's got thousands of player profiles on there, all sorts of different nuggets of hockey history to check out. So that'll do it for segment 2. We're going to take one more quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to take a ride on that Zamboni Time Machine. We'll see you in a minute.
Need to find that gift for someone special? Visit Little Falls Presents at the Stone Mill and Canal Place. Stop by today to find unique artist work, t-shirts, coffee cups, gift towels, greeting cards, tote bags, koozies, and original oil paintings and prints. It's all about the art of the gift. For more information, visit mylittlefalls.com/shop or call 315-508-5310 for details.
And we're back for segment 3 of Marty's Illegal Stick, the Zamboni Time Machine. The Zamboni Time Machine is brought to you by Zamboni.com, and the Zamboni name is used with permission. This week, the Zamboni Time Machine takes us back to October 31st, 1971, in the debut of the first ever painted goalie mask. Everyone knows that Jacques Plante wore the first goalie mask in the NHL in 1959, and Jerry Cheevers of the Boston Bruins drew stitches on his mask in 1968, every time he got hit in the face. But that mask was considered to be decorated and not painted. The first painted mask belongs to Doug Favell of the Philadelphia Flyers. Favell, like all goaltenders back then, wore a white fiberglass mask like the one made famous by Jason from the Friday the 13th movies. On Halloween night in 1971, the Flyers had a game, and since it was Halloween, Favell and the boys decided it would be fun to paint his mask like a pumpkin. The Flyers trainer painted the mask bright orange, and sure enough, the Flyers won that night. Perhaps enjoying a little notoriety from distracting shooters with his painted mask, Favell had the mask repainted into a white and orange starburst pattern, which he wore for the 1972-73 season. After the season, Favell was traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs for another goaltender named Bernie Perron. As a going-away present of sorts, Frank Lewis, the Flyers trainer who did the first 2 mask paint jobs, repainted the mask white with a giant blue maple leaf on it. Favell wore this mask for the first season in Toronto and then got a brand new mask. The original mask was loaned to the Hockey Hall of Fame, but this story isn't over yet. During a visit to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2011, a game-worn hockey equipment dealer named Frank Cervello noticed the Favell mask on display was a replica and not the original. Favell confirmed it, and the hunt was on to find the original. 2 members of the vintage goalie mask discussion page by the names of Plante and DeLuca determined another mask in the Hall's vintage mask collection was painted like a clown, and it was indeed the original Favell mask. A meticulous restoration took place by removing layer on top of layer of paint until they finally got to the original starburst pattern, proving Plante and DeLuca right. So what happened? As it turns out, the original mask was stolen from the Hall of Fame and replaced with the replica. For some reason, it was quietly returned, but not after being repainted into first a weird blood drop pattern and then the clown pattern. The original mask was returned to Favell, and you can now buy it for a mere $50,000 at goaliemaskcollector.com. And that, my friends, concludes this week's trip on the Zamboni Time Machine.
50,000. Dale, you got that, right?
So let's all pool our money. Let's get it.
Yeah, right. You gotta have it.
I need that. I told you ski mask model. I'll wear any mask.
Yeah. That was the one you needed right there.
Oh, like how awesome would it be if we had masks instead of just your little COVID mask? We could wear goalie masks around.
Hey, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. What's it like up there right now with COVID anyway?
I think it's the same everywhere. It's not slowing down. It's picking up. And Alberta is almost, they're talking about going on a curfew. Like they're really shut down there, and they're not, and their numbers are increasing. BC, it's like a different strain. The second strain's picking up, and so it's. I think restaurants are shut down unless it's outdoor patios. All the sports are shut down. It's basically lockdown.
Yeah, see, we're opening up. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if there you go. We'll pool the $50,000. Maybe that mask will be the answer.
I think it's perspective. Once again, I'm like, people think being locked down in your house is lockdown. I'm like, obviously you haven't had the same experience as me. This is easy.
Oh man!
I get my own bed.
Oh man, that was great. That was great. Well, listen, I think we've gone over our hour here. Rob Drum from Sports Beat's going to be awful upset with us again, but he's going to have to deal with it. That's all. That's all there is to it. So we're going to close the show out. But Dale, thank you for coming on again. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you sticking around for the whole show. We just want to let you know you can find us on the web at martysillegalstick.com and on Facebook and Twitter at Marty's Illegal Stick Hockey Podcast. For Leo Kinville, for Jeremy Roberts, for Dale Purinton, and Dave the Save Warner, I'm Scott Kinville. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.